The riding crop struck the edge of the table, making the china rattle. Lady Catherine Ashworth flinched but did not look up from her cold breakfast. Her stepmother's voice filled the morning room like bitter smoke. "You will not embarrass this family at the Hastings ball tonight," Lady Margaret said. Her words were sharp as glass. "You will stay in the corners where no one can see you. Do you understand me, Catherine?" Catherine nodded. Her hands gripped the napkin in her lap until her knuckles turned white. She was 24 years old. In society's eyes, she was already too old to marry, too plain to notice, too quiet to matter. "Answer me properly," her stepmother demanded. "Yes, my lady," Catherine whispered. Her younger stepsister Lydia laughed from across the table. The sound was like breaking bells. Lydia was 17 and beautiful, everything Catherine was not. At least, that is what they told her every day. "Poor Catherine," Lydia said sweetly. "Perhaps you should wear a veil. It might help." Lady Margaret smiled at her daughter. She never smiled at Catherine. Not once in the 12 years since she had married Catherine's father. Not even at the funeral 2 months ago when father finally died. Catherine rose from the table. She kept her eyes down. She had learned long ago that looking at them only made things worse. Her grey dress whispered against the floor as she walked. It was her only good dress. Lydia had 20. "Where do you think you are going?" Lady Margaret asked. "To the library, my lady," Catherine said. "I thought I might read." "Of course you did." Her stepmother's voice dripped with scorn. "Books are all you have. Are they not? No beauty, no charm, no prospects, just dusty old books." Catherine said nothing. She left the room before the tears could come. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her cry. Not today. Not ever. The library was her only refuge. She spent hours there among the leather-bound volumes. They never judged her, never told her she was worthless. The books held worlds she could escape to, places where girls like her sometimes mattered. She pulled down a volume of poetry and settled into her favorite chair by the window. The morning sun warmed her face. For just a moment, she could pretend she was somewhere else, someone else. But the peace did not last long. The door opened. Mr. Crawley, the family solicitor, stood in the doorway. His face was grave. Lady Margaret and Lydia crowded behind him. "Miss Catherine," he said softly, "I must speak with you." Her heart began to pound. She set down the book with trembling hands. Mr. Crawley had been her father's friend. He was one of the few people who had ever been kind to her. "Your father's will has been read," he continued. "There are some matters we must discuss." Lady Margaret pushed past him into the room. Her face was twisted with rage. Catherine had never seen her so angry. "This is your doing," Lady Margaret hissed. "You poisoned his mind against us." Catherine stood up. She did not understand. "I do not know what you mean." "Your father left you nothing," Mr. Crawley said quickly. His eyes were sad. "The estate, the money, everything goes to your stepmother. However, he did make one provision for you." Catherine's breath caught. Father had not forgotten her after all. "There is a marriage arrangement," Mr. Crawley said. "Your father made it years ago with the late Duke of Ashford. The current Duke has agreed to honor the contract." The room spun. Catherine reached for the chair to steady herself. "A marriage arrangement? But I have never even met the Duke." "The Duke of Ashford," Lady Margaret said slowly. The anger drained from her face. It was replaced by something worse. Fear. "You cannot mean the Beast of Ashford." Mr. Crawley's silence was answer enough. Lydia gasped. Even she had heard the stories. Everyone had. The Duke of Ashford lived alone in his great estate in the north. No one had seen him in 5 years, not since the hunting accident that had scarred him so terribly. They said his face was a nightmare. They said he had the temper of a demon. They called him the Beast. "You will be married in 3 days," Mr. Crawley said. "Those were the terms of the agreement. Your father hoped it would give you security, a home of your own." "Security?" Lady Margaret laughed. The sound was harsh and cruel. "She is being sent to live with a monster." "Well, it is fitting, a beast for a burden." Catherine felt cold all over. She had dreamed of marriage once, long ago, but never like this. Never to a man she had never met, a man the world feared. "I will not go," she said. Her voice was barely a whisper, but in the quiet library it rang out clearly. "You have no choice," Mr. Crawley said. His voice was gentle but firm. "The contract is binding. If you refuse, you will be left with nothing, not even the clothes on your back. Your stepmother has no obligation to house you." Lady Margaret smiled. It was a terrible smile. "That is correct. Refuse, and you will be on the streets by nightfall." Catherine looked at Mr. Crawley. She hoped for some sign that this was not real, that she might wake up and find it all a dream. But his sad eyes told her the truth. She was trapped. "When do I leave?" she asked. "Tomorrow morning," he said. "I am so sorry, my dear." That night, Catherine packed her few belongings. Her hands shook as she folded her worn dresses. She had 3 books that had been her mother's. She wrapped them carefully in her shawl. They might be all she had to remind her of love. Lydia came to her room just before bed. For once, she did not mock. She looked almost sad.
"Are you frightened?"
Lydia asked. "Yes," Catherine said. There was no point in lying. "They say he killed his first wife," Lydia whispered. "They say she died in that great house and no one knows how." Catherine's hands stilled on the dress she was folding. "Those are just stories." "Are they?" Lydia moved closer. "Mother is glad you are going. She says it is one less mouth to feed, one less reminder of father. But I think she is afraid too, afraid of what will happen to you." "Why are you telling me this?" Catherine asked. Lydia looked away. "Because you were always kind to me. Even when I was cruel to you, I wanted you to know that I noticed." After Lydia left, Catherine sat on her bed and let herself cry. She cried for her father, who had loved her but left her to this fate. She cried for her mother, who had died when Catherine was just a child. She cried for herself and the life she would never have. The morning came too quickly. The carriage arrived just after dawn. It was black and fine, pulled by 4 horses. The Duke of Ashford's crest was on the door, a great silver wolf. Mr. Crawley helped her into the carriage. "Be brave," he said. "Your father believed this would be good for you. Perhaps he saw something we cannot." Catherine wanted to believe him, but as the carriage pulled away from the only home she had ever known, all she felt was terror. The journey north took 2 days. They stopped at inns along the way. The Duke's servants travelled with her. They were quiet and polite, but they would not meet her eyes. That frightened her more than anything. What kind of master inspired such fear? On the second evening, they reached Ashford Hall. Catherine pressed her face to the carriage window. The house rose from the moors like something from a dark fairy tale. It was huge and grey, with towers that pierced the cloudy sky. No lights burned in the windows. It looked abandoned. The carriage stopped before the great doors. A servant opened the door and helped her down. The wind howled across the moors. It was cold here, colder than she had ever known. "Welcome to Ashford Hall, my lady," the servant said. He was old, with kind eyes. "I am Graves, the butler. His Grace is waiting for you." Catherine followed him into the house. The entrance hall was vast and dim. A few candles burned in sconces on the walls, but they did little to push back the darkness. Her footsteps echoed on the marble floor. Graves led her down a long corridor. At the end was a door. He knocked softly. "Enter," a voice said from within. The voice was deep and rough. It sent shivers down Catherine's spine. Graves opened the door and gestured for her to go in. Then he closed the door behind her. The room was a study. Bookshelves lined the walls. A fire burned in the hearth, but it did little to warm the cold space. A man stood by the window with his back to her. He was tall and broad-shouldered. His dark hair brushed his collar. "Come closer," he said without turning around. Catherine took a few steps forward. Her legs felt like water. She clasped her hands together to stop them from shaking. "I am told your name is Catherine," he said. "Yes, Your Grace," she managed to say. "And you have agreed to marry me." It was not really a question, but she answered anyway. "Yes, Your Grace. Do you know what they call me?" he asked. There was something bitter in his voice. "Yes," she whispered. "Then you know what you are getting." He turned around. Catherine gasped. She could not help it. The left side of his face was marked by terrible scars. 3 deep lines ran from his temple to his jaw, as if some great beast had clawed him. His left eye was milky white, clearly blind. The scars pulled at his mouth, giving him a permanent scowl. But the right side of his face was beautiful. Strong jaw, sharp cheekbones, a perfectly shaped mouth, one eye, as blue as a summer sky. It was the contrast that made him shocking. Beauty and horror in one face. "I apologize," Catherine said quickly. "I did not mean to stare." "Everyone stares," he said. His voice was flat. "At least you are honest about it." He moved closer. Catherine forced herself not to step back. He towered over her. She had to tilt her head to look at him. "I can smell your innocence," he growled. Her eyes went wide with fear. He leaned down until his face was close to hers. She could feel his breath on her cheek. "I can see it in every trembling movement you make. You are terrified." "Good. You should be." "Please," she whispered. "Please what?" He straightened up. "Please be kind. Please be gentle. What did you expect from a beast?" Catherine found a spark of courage from somewhere deep inside. She lifted her chin and looked him in the eye. The one good eye that watched her so intently. "I expected a man," she said. "A man who honors his father's agreements. A man who keeps his word." Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, perhaps. He studied her for a long moment. "We will be married tomorrow," he said finally. "The vicar will come at noon. You will have your own rooms. You need not fear me in that way. This is a marriage of convenience, nothing more." "I understand, Your Grace," she said. "My name is Nicholas," he said. "You need not call me Your Grace when we are alone, but you will call me that in front of others." "Yes, Your Grace." "Nicholas," he turned away from her. "Graves will show you to your rooms. We will not see each other again until the wedding." It was a dismissal. Catherine left quickly. Her heart was still racing. Outside the study, Graves waited for her. His kind face held sympathy. "This way, my lady," he said gently. He led her up a grand staircase to the 2nd floor. The house was like a maze. Long corridors branched off in every direction. Finally, he opened a door. "These are your chambers," he said. Catherine stepped inside and caught her breath. The room was beautiful. A large bed with blue silk hangings stood against one wall. Windows looked out over the moors. A fire already burned in the hearth. There was a dressing room and a small sitting area. "It is too fine," she said. "His Grace ordered these rooms prepared for you," Graves said. "He wanted you to be comfortable." A maid appeared from the dressing room. She was young, with a round, friendly face. "This is Mary," Graves said. "She will be your lady's maid. If you need anything, just ask." After they left, Catherine sank into a chair by the fire. She did not know what to think. The Duke was terrifying, but he had given her beautiful rooms. He had promised not to force himself on her. Perhaps it would not be so terrible, but she could not forget his words. "I can smell your innocence," and then, in a voice like dark promise, "I will take it." She shivered and pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders. The wedding took place the next day at noon, just as Nicholas had said. The vicar came from the village. He looked nervous. He rushed through the ceremony as if he wanted to leave as quickly as possible. Catherine wore a dress Mary had found for her. It was pale blue silk, far finer than anything she had ever owned. Mary had done her hair in a soft style that framed her face. For the first time in years, Catherine looked in the mirror and did not hate what she saw. Nicholas wore black. He stood rigid during the ceremony. His scarred face showed no emotion. When the vicar said they could kiss, Nicholas simply pressed his lips briefly to Catherine's forehead. His mouth was cold. "You are the Duchess of Ashford now," he said. "These are your responsibilities." He handed her a sheet of paper. It listed her duties. She was to oversee the household, manage the servants, host dinners when required, be a proper duchess. "I will do my best, Your Grace," she said. "See that you do," he replied. Then he left. Catherine stood alone in the small chapel. She was married, she was a duchess, and she had never felt more alone. The days fell into a pattern. Catherine woke early. She had breakfast alone in her rooms. Then she met with Mrs. Henderson, the housekeeper, to discuss the day's tasks. The house was huge and required constant attention. She rarely saw Nicholas. He spent most of his time in his study or riding across the moors. When they did meet at dinner, he was polite but distant. He asked about her day. She answered briefly. Then silence fell between them like a wall. But Catherine began to notice small things. Fresh flowers appeared in her rooms every morning. Her favorite tea was always available. The library, when she finally found it, had been dusted and cleaned. New books had been added, books she would enjoy. "His Grace ordered them," Mary told her when Catherine asked. "He wanted you to have things to read." Catherine ran her fingers over the spines of the new books. Someone had paid attention to what she liked. Someone had cared enough to try to make her happy. She began to explore the house. It was full of wonders: portrait galleries, music rooms, a conservatory with exotic plants. Everywhere she looked, she saw evidence of a family that had once thrived here. But now the house felt empty, like a body with no soul. One afternoon, she found a door she had not noticed before. It was locked. She tried the handle, curious about what lay beyond. "That was the Duchess's suite," a voice said behind her. Catherine spun around. Nicholas stood in the corridor. He wore riding clothes. Mud splattered his boots. His hair was windblown. "I apologize," Catherine said quickly. "I was just exploring." "The previous Duchess," Nicholas said. His voice was strange, hollow. "My first wife, those were her rooms." "I did not know you had been married before," Catherine said softly. "It was a long time ago." He moved past her toward the stairs. "Stay out of those rooms." "Of course, Your Grace." He stopped, turned back to look at her. "I told you to call me Nicholas when we are alone." "Nicholas?" she said. Something in his expression softened. Just for a moment, then it was gone. He continued down the stairs without another word. That night, Catherine could not sleep. She kept thinking about those locked rooms, about the first Duchess who had lived there. What had happened to her? How had she died? And why did Nicholas look so haunted when he spoke of her? She got up and wrapped a shawl around her shoulders. Perhaps a book would help her sleep. She made her way through the dark corridors to the library. A single candle guided her way. The library door was open. Firelight flickered from within. Catherine hesitated. Someone was already there. She peeked inside. Nicholas sat in a large leather chair by the fire. A glass of brandy dangled from his fingers. He stared into the flames. He looked lost, lonely. Catherine started to back away. She did not want to disturb him. "Come in," he said without looking at her. "I can hear you breathing." Heat flooded her cheeks. She stepped into the library. "I could not sleep. I thought a book might help." "Take what you like," he said. He still did not look at her. Catherine moved to the shelves. She was very aware of him sitting there. She could feel his presence like heat from the fire. Her fingers trembled as she selected a volume. "Why are you not afraid of me?" he asked suddenly. Catherine turned to face him. "I am afraid of you, Your Grace." "Nicholas," he said, "and you do not act afraid. Not like the servants, not like the vicar. You look me in the eye." "Would you prefer I did not?" she asked. He finally looked at her. The firelight danced across his scarred face. "I do not know. Everyone else looks away, as if the sight of me causes them pain." Catherine moved closer. She did not plan to. Her feet just carried her toward him. "May I ask how it happened?" "A hunting accident," he said. 5 years ago. A boar charged me. Its tusk caught my face." He touched the scars with his fingers. The wound became infected. "I almost died. Sometimes I wish I had." "Do not say that," Catherine said. The words came out sharper than she intended. His eyebrows rose. "Why not? Look at me. I am a monster." "You are not a monster," she said. "You are a man who was hurt. There is a difference." He stared at her. The silence stretched between them. Catherine's heart pounded. She had spoken too boldly, overstepped her place. Then Nicholas smiled. It was small and sad, but it was real. "You are a strange woman, Catherine Ashford." "I have been called worse," she said. His smile widened just a fraction. "I am sure you have. Your stepmother's letters were quite thorough in listing your faults." Catherine's face burned. "You read her letters?" "Of course. I had to know what kind of wife I was getting." He took a sip of his brandy. She said, "You were plain, dull, too old, too quiet, worthless." Tears stung Catherine's eyes. Hearing her stepmother's words repeated in Nicholas's deep voice made them hurt all over again. "She was wrong," Nicholas said quietly. Catherine's breath caught. "What? You are not plain. Your eyes are the color of honey. You have a kind face, a gentle smile. On the rare occasions when you smile." He looked back at the fire. "And you are the first person in 5 years to look at me without flinching. That is worth more than beauty." Catherine did not know what to say. Her throat felt tight. No one had ever said such things to her before. "Thank you," she whispered. "Do not thank me for speaking the truth." He stood up. "It is late. You should rest." He walked past her toward the door. As he passed, his hand brushed against hers. Just for a moment, it sent a tingle up her arm. "Good night, Catherine," he said. "Good night, Nicholas," she replied. After he left, Catherine sank into the chair he had vacated. It was still warm from his body. She pressed her hand to her chest. Her heart was racing. Something had changed tonight. Some wall had cracked. She did not know what it meant. But for the first time since coming to Ashford Hall, she felt a flicker of hope. The next morning, Nicholas joined her for breakfast. This had never happened before. Catherine looked up in surprise as he entered the small dining room. "May I?" he asked, gesturing to the chair across from her. "Of course," she said. "This is your house." "It is our house now," he said. The word "our" made something warm bloom in Catherine's chest. They ate in silence for a while, but it was not the cold, uncomfortable silence of before. It felt easier, more natural. "I thought I might show you the gardens today," Nicholas said. "If you would like." "I would like that very much," Catherine said. After breakfast, he led her outside. The gardens were vast and beautiful. Even in autumn, there was color. Late roses bloomed. Trees blazed with red and gold leaves. Paths wound through carefully tended beds. "My mother designed these gardens," Nicholas said as they walked. "She loved beautiful things. She died when I was 12. "I am sorry," Catherine said. "I lost my mother young as well. I was 8. "Then you understand," he said. "The emptiness that never quite goes away." "Yes," she said softly. They walked in silence for a while. Catherine watched a bird flutter from branch to branch. The air was crisp and clean, so different from London's smoke and noise. "Why did you agree to marry me?" Catherine asked suddenly. The question had been burning inside her for days. Nicholas stopped walking. He looked out over the moors. "My father made the agreement with yours 20 years ago, when we were both children. He hoped the marriage would unite our families, create stronger ties." "But you could have refused," Catherine said. "When your father died, when you became Duke, you could have broken the contract." "I could have," he agreed, "but I did not. Do you want to know why?" Catherine nodded. "Because I am alone," he said simply. "I have been alone for 5 years, since the accident. Since my wife died. I thought perhaps having someone here, even in a marriage of convenience, might make this house feel less empty." His honesty shocked her. Catherine had never met anyone who spoke so plainly about their loneliness. "I am alone too," she said. "I have been alone my whole life, even when surrounded by family." He looked at her, really looked at her. His blue eye was bright and piercing. "Then perhaps we can be alone together." "I would like that," Catherine said. Something passed between them, an understanding, a connection. Catherine felt it in her bones. Nicholas offered her his arm. "Come, let me show you the lake." Catherine took his arm. Through the fabric of his coat, she could feel the strength of him, the solidness. She felt safe in a way she had not felt in years. They walked to the lake together. Ducks paddled on the calm water. The house rose behind them, grey stone against grey sky. But somehow, in that moment, it did not look grim anymore. It looked like home. Over the following weeks, Catherine and Nicholas spent more time together. He showed her his favorite places on the estate. The old oak tree where he had climbed as a boy. The hill where you could see for miles. The stable where his horses lived. Catherine, in turn, shared pieces of herself. She told him about her love of books, about the poetry she sometimes wrote in secret, about the sketches she made when no one was watching. "You are an artist?" Nicholas asked one afternoon. They sat in the library. Rain pattered against the windows. "Hardly that," Catherine said. "I just draw sometimes, little things." "Show me," he said. Catherine hesitated. She had never shown anyone her drawings, but she found herself retrieving her sketchbook from her rooms. Her hands shook as she handed it to Nicholas. He opened it carefully. His face showed nothing as he turned the pages. Catherine's anxiety grew with each passing second. Finally, he looked up. "These are remarkable." "You do not have to say that," Catherine said quickly. "I am not saying it to be kind. I am saying it because it is true." He held up a sketch she had made of the conservatory. "You have real talent, Catherine." Pride swelled in her chest. No one had ever praised her work before. No one had ever made her feel like she had something valuable to offer. "Thank you," she whispered. "I want you to keep drawing," Nicholas said. "I will have a studio prepared for you, with proper supplies. Will you do that?" Catherine felt tears prick her eyes. "Yes. Yes, I will." Nicholas reached out and wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. The gesture was so gentle, so unexpected. Catherine's breath caught. "Do not cry," he said softly. "You deserve to have your talents celebrated." His hand lingered on her cheek. Catherine leaned into his touch without thinking. His skin was warm, his fingers were rough but careful. Their eyes met. Catherine's heart thundered in her chest. For a moment she thought he might kiss her, but Nicholas pulled away. He stood up abruptly. "I should go. I have business to attend to." He left before Catherine could respond. She sat there, her cheek still tingling where he had touched her. She pressed her fingers to the spot, trying to hold on to the feeling. Something was growing between them, something real and powerful. Catherine knew it. She thought Nicholas knew it too, but he was holding back, keeping distance between them. Why? Did he still love his first wife? Did he think Catherine was not good enough? Or was he afraid of letting someone close? Catherine did not have answers, but she knew one thing with certainty. She was falling in love with her husband. The realization hit her like a bolt of lightning. She loved him, his scarred face and wounded heart, his kindness that he tried to hide, his loneliness that matched her own. She loved all of it. But did he love her? Could he? Mary helped Catherine dress for dinner that night. She wore a deep green gown that brought out the color in her eyes. Mary arranged her hair in an elegant style. "You look beautiful, my lady," Mary said. Catherine studied her reflection. For the first time in her life, she almost believed it. Nicholas was already in the dining room when she arrived. He stood when she entered. His gaze swept over her. Something flickered in his eye. Appreciation, desire. "You look lovely," he said. "Thank you," Catherine said. She took her seat. Dinner was pleasant. They talked about books they had read, about the estate and its management, about plans for the winter ahead. The conversation flowed easily. Catherine found herself laughing at something Nicholas said. The sound surprised her. Nicholas stared at her. "What?" she asked. "I have never heard you laugh before," he said. "It is a beautiful sound." Catherine's cheeks warmed. "I have not had much reason to laugh in recent years." "Then I shall have to give you reasons," Nicholas said. After dinner, they moved to the drawing room. Catherine played the pianoforte, while Nicholas listened. Her fingers moved over the keys, drawing out a soft melody. It was a piece her mother had taught her long ago. When she finished, she turned to find Nicholas standing right behind her. She had not heard him approach. He was so close she could feel the heat of his body. "Catherine," he said. His voice was rough with emotion. "Yes?" she whispered. "I want to tell you something." He seemed to struggle with the words. "About my first wife. About Elena." Catherine's heart clenched. "You do not have to tell me if it pains you." "I need to," he said. "You deserve to know." He moved to the window and looked out at the dark grounds. Catherine waited. She could see the tension in his shoulders. "Elena and I were married when I was 22, he began. It was an arranged marriage, like ours. I barely knew her, but I tried to be a good husband. I tried to make her happy." He paused. Catherine remained silent. She was beautiful, charming. Everyone loved her, but she was not happy here. She hated the isolation, hated the moors. She wanted to be in London, surrounded by society and parties. "That must have been difficult," Catherine said gently. "I refused to leave Ashford Hall. This is my home, my responsibility." We argued about it constantly. His voice grew harder. Then came the hunting accident. When I woke up after weeks of fever, my face was ruined. Elena could not bear to look at me. Catherine's heart broke for him. She wanted to go to him, but she sensed he needed to finish. She stayed locked in her rooms, would not see me, would not speak to me. She called me a monster. The servants heard her screaming it. His shoulders sagged. One night she ran away, tried to leave in a storm. Her horse threw her. By the time we found her, it was too late. "Oh, Nicholas," Catherine breathed. "So you see," he said, turning to face her. "I killed her. My face, my refusal to leave this place, my selfishness, it drove her to her death." Catherine stood up. She walked to him slowly. "You did not kill her. It was a tragic accident." "Was it?" His voice was bitter. "Or was it suicide? Escape from a life she could not bear? From a husband who repulsed her?" "Stop," Catherine said firmly. She reached up and placed her hands on his scarred cheek. He flinched, but she did not let go. "You are not a monster, you are a good man. What happened was terrible, but it was not your fault." "How can you say that?" he asked. "How can you even look at me?" "Because I see you," Catherine said. "Not the scars, not the title, you, the man who makes sure I have fresh flowers, who buys me books, who wants me to have a studio. The man who is kind to his servants, who loves this land, who feels things so deeply it breaks my heart." Tears shone in Nicholas's good eye. "Catherine, I am not afraid of you," she said. "I am not repulsed by you, and I will not leave you." "Do not make promises you cannot keep," he said. "I am not." She stood on her toes and pressed her lips to his scarred cheek. "I am right where I want to be." Nicholas made a sound low in his throat. His arms came around her, pulling her close. He buried his face in her hair. Catherine felt his body shake. He was crying. This strong, fierce man was crying in her arms. She held him tightly. "It is all right," she whispered. "I am here, I am here." They stood like that for a long time. Catherine stroked his back, offering comfort the only way she knew how. Eventually, Nicholas pulled back. He wiped his eyes, looking embarrassed. "Forgive me," he said. "I have not wept since Elena died." "There is nothing to forgive," Catherine said. "We all need to grieve." He cupped her face in his hands. "You are extraordinary. Do you know that?" "I am ordinary," Catherine said. "But perhaps that is what you need." "It is exactly what I need." He leaned down. His forehead touched hers. "I am falling in love with you, Catherine. I did not think I could love again, but you have awakened something in me I thought was dead." Joy flooded through Catherine. "I love you too," she said. "I think I have loved you since that night in the library when you called me strange." Nicholas laughed. The sound was warm and real. "And we are both fools. The best kind of fools," Catherine said. He kissed her then. Really kissed her. His lips were soft and warm. The kiss was gentle at first, then deeper. Catherine had never been kissed before. She did not know what to do, but her body seemed to know. She melted into him, her hands sliding up to his shoulders. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "I want this to be a real marriage," Nicholas said. "I want you as my wife in every way. If you will have me." "Yes," Catherine said without hesitation. "Yes." He lifted her into his arms. She gasped and clung to him. "What are you doing?" "Carrying my bride to my chambers," he said. His grin was boyish and beautiful. "Is that not what husbands do?" Catherine laughed. The sound rang through the house like bells, like joy, like hope. That night, Catherine learned what it meant to be loved. Nicholas was gentle and patient. He showed her pleasures she had never imagined, and when she fell asleep in his arms, she felt safe and cherished for the first time in her life. The next morning, Catherine woke in Nicholas's bed. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Nicholas still slept beside her, his arm across her waist. She studied his face in the morning light. The scars did not frighten her. They were part of him, part of the man she loved. His eye opened. He smiled sleepily. "Good morning, wife." "Good morning, husband," she said. He pulled her close and kissed her forehead. "I want to wake up like this every morning for the rest of my life." "So do I," Catherine said. They stayed in bed for a while, talking quietly. Nicholas told her about his childhood, about his father who had been stern but loving, his mother who had filled the house with music and laughter. Catherine shared her own memories, the good ones, before her mother died, before her stepmother came. "I want to invite people for Christmas," Nicholas said suddenly. "A house party. Show society that the beast has a beautiful bride, that Ashford Hall is a home again." "Are you certain?" Catherine asked. "You have been so private." "I am certain," he said. "I want the world to see you, to see us. I am not ashamed anymore." "Then we shall have the finest Christmas party anyone has ever seen," Catherine declared. They spent the next weeks preparing. Catherine threw herself into the planning. She worked with Mrs. Henderson to air out guest rooms. Menus were planned, decorations ordered, invitations sent. To Catherine's surprise, most invitations were accepted. People were curious. The beast of Ashford was breaking his exile, and they wanted to see the woman who had managed to tame him. Nicholas watched Catherine work with pride. She had come alive. Her eyes sparkled. She smiled constantly. She was confident and capable. The Duchess Ashford Hall needed. "You are remarkable," he told her one evening. They sat together in the library, reviewing the guest list. "I am just doing what needs to be done," Catherine said. "No." He took her hand. "You are transforming this house, bringing it back to life, bringing me back to life." Catherine leaned over and kissed him softly. "We are transforming each other." The guests began arriving a week before Christmas. Catherine greeted each one with grace and warmth. She was nervous, but she hid it well. Nicholas stood beside her, solid and supportive. But on the third day, a carriage arrived that made Catherine's blood run cold. She recognized the crest on the door. Her stepmother had come. Lady Margaret swept into the entrance hall like a dark cloud. Lydia followed behind her, looking uncomfortable. They both stopped short when they saw Catherine. Catherine stood tall. She wore a beautiful burgundy gown. Sapphires glittered at her throat, a gift from Nicholas. Her hair was styled elegantly. She looked every inch a duchess. "Lady Margaret," Catherine said coolly. "Miss Lydia, what a surprise." "We came when we heard about the house party," Lady Margaret said. Her eyes swept over Catherine with disbelief. "We had to see for ourselves." "See what?" Nicholas asked. His voice was cold. He moved to stand closer to Catherine. "That she actually managed to trap you," Lady Margaret said. "That useless girl I raised, I never thought she had it in her." You did not raise me, Catherine said. Her voice was calm but firm. You tormented me, degraded me, made me believe I was worthless. Lady Margaret's face reddened. How dare you speak to me that way? I dare because I am the Duchess of Ashford, Catherine said, and you are a guest in my home. You will treat me with respect, or you will leave. Lydia stepped forward. Catherine, I am sorry. I did not want to come. Mother insisted. It is all right, Lydia, Catherine said more gently. You were always kinder than she was. Nicholas addressed Lady Margaret. My wife has shown you great courtesy by allowing you to stay. I suggest you remember your place. In this house, what she says is law. Lady Margaret looked between them. She clearly had not expected this. She had thought to find broken Catherine, the girl she had crushed. Instead, she found a confident woman with a powerful husband who adored her. Very well, Lady Margaret said stiffly. We shall stay. Graves will show you to your rooms, Catherine said. After they left, Nicholas pulled Catherine into his arms. Are you all right? I am better than all right, Catherine said. Did you see her face? She could not believe it. I wish I could go back and tell that sad girl in the breakfast room that one day she would make Lady Margaret bow. Nicholas laughed and spun her around. You are magnificent. The house party continued. Catherine shone as hostess. She was warm with guests, witty in conversation. She played the pianoforte beautifully. She arranged activities that everyone enjoyed. The guests were charmed, and Nicholas was transformed. He no longer hid in his study. He joined the activities, smiled, laughed. People saw that he was not a beast at all, just a man who had been hurt and was learning to live again. They are perfect together, Catherine heard one guest whisper. Who would have thought the beast could be tamed by such a gentle creature? Another replied. Catherine smiled to herself. She had not tamed Nicholas. They had healed each other. On Christmas Eve, they held a ball. The house blazed with light. Music filled the halls. Guests danced in the ballroom that had been closed for 5 years. Nicholas led Catherine onto the floor for the first dance. Everyone watched them. Catherine was nervous, but Nicholas's hand at her waist steadied her. Just look at me, he said softly. So she did. She looked into his blue eye and saw love shining there. The world fell away. There was only the two of them, moving together in perfect harmony. When the dance ended, applause filled the room. Nicholas bowed to Catherine. May I have every dance tonight, Your Grace? You may have every dance for the rest of our lives, Catherine said. Later, as the party wound down, Catherine found Lydia standing alone by the window. Are you well? Catherine asked. I am happy for you, Lydia said. Truly, you deserve this. You always deserved better than how we treated you. Thank you for saying that, Catherine said. Mother is furious, Lydia continued. She thought you would fail, that the Duke would cast you aside. She cannot stand that you are happy. I hope one day she finds happiness too, Catherine said. It is hard to be so bitter all the time. Lydia looked at her with wonder. How can you be kind to her after everything? Because holding on to anger would only hurt me, Catherine said. I choose to be happy instead. Lydia hugged her impulsively. You have grown so much. You are so strong. So can you be, Catherine said, when you are ready. The next day was Christmas. Catherine and Nicholas exchanged gifts in private before joining the guests. Nicholas gave her a set of the finest art supplies money could buy. Paints, brushes, canvases, everything she needed. For your studio, he said. Catherine gave him a portrait she had painted in secret. It showed him as she saw him, strong, handsome, whole. The scars were there, but they did not define him. They were just part of his face. Nicholas stared at it for a long time. When he looked up, tears streamed down his face. "This is how you see me?" "Yes," Catherine said simply. He pulled her into his arms. "I love you so much, it frightens me." "Do not be frightened," Catherine said. "I will not leave you. I promise." "I know," he said. "I believe you." That afternoon, disaster struck. A rider came with urgent news. There had been an accident in the village. A fire had destroyed several cottages. Families were homeless in the bitter cold. "We must help them," Catherine said immediately. Of course, Nicholas agreed. They organized the guests. Blankets were gathered. Food was packed. Nicholas arranged for the families to be housed in empty cottages on the estate. Catherine personally went to the village to help. She comforted crying children, bandaged burns, distributed supplies. The villagers stared in wonder. Their reclusive duke and his new wife were helping them. The beast and his beauty had hearts of gold. When they returned to Ashford Hall late that night, both were exhausted but satisfied. "You were wonderful today," Nicholas said as they prepared for bed. "We were wonderful," Catherine corrected. "We did it together." "Together," Nicholas agreed. He pulled her into his arms. "I like the sound of that." But their peace was shattered the next morning. Catherine came downstairs to find Lady Margaret in the entrance hall. She was screaming at Graves. "What is the meaning of this?" Catherine demanded. Lady Margaret whirled on her. "You think you have won? You think you can humiliate me and get away with it?" "I have done nothing to you," Catherine said. "You exist." Lady Margaret shrieked. "You were supposed to disappear, marry that beast and be forgotten. Instead, you parade around like a queen. You make me look like a fool." "You do that yourself," Nicholas said coldly. He had appeared at the top of the stairs. "Leave my house, now." "Gladly," Lady Margaret spat. "But mark my words, this will not last. He will tire of you, Catherine. He will see what I see. A plain, worthless girl playing dress-up. And when he does, you will have nothing." The words hit Catherine like a slap. Old wounds opened. Old fears surfaced. What if Lady Margaret was right? What if Nicholas realized he had made a mistake? "Get out," Nicholas said. His voice was deadly quiet. Lady Margaret left. Lydia paused in the doorway. "I am sorry," she said to Catherine. Then she was gone. Catherine stood frozen. Nicholas came down the stairs and reached for her, but she stepped back. "What if she is right?" Catherine whispered. "She is not," Nicholas said firmly. "But what if she is? What if one day you wake up and realize you could have done better, that you settled for?" "Stop," Nicholas said. He gripped her shoulders gently. "Look at me, Catherine." She forced herself to meet his gaze. "I love you," he said, "not because you are beautiful though you are, not because you are talented though you are. I love you because you saw me when I was lost. You brought light into my darkness. You made me want to live again. But, no buts." He pulled her close. "You are my wife, my duchess, the other half of my soul. Nothing your stepmother says can change that. Nothing in this world can change that." Catherine buried her face in his chest. "I am afraid," she admitted. "I have never been happy before. I am afraid it will be taken away." "Then we will be afraid together," Nicholas said, "and we will remind each other every day that this is real, that our love is real." "Promise?" Catherine asked. "I promise," he said, "now and forever." The guests left after Christmas. Life at Ashford Hall settled into a new normal, a happy normal. Catherine spent her days painting in her new studio. Nicholas managed the estate. But they always made time for each other. They rode together across the moors, read together in the library, made love in the big bed they now shared. They talked about everything, their fears, their hopes, their dreams. "I want children," Nicholas said one night as they lay tangled together. Catherine's heart swelled. "So do I. Lots of children," Nicholas continued, "to fill this house with laughter and noise." "A whole brood," Catherine agreed. "And we will love them fiercely," Nicholas said, "the way we were not always loved." "Yes," Catherine said. "We will make sure they always know they are wanted." As winter turned to spring, Catherine discovered she was with child. Nicholas cried when she told him. He kissed her belly and whispered promises to the baby growing inside. "I will be a good father," he vowed. "You will be the best father," Catherine said. The baby came in autumn. A healthy boy with his father's blue eyes. They named him Thomas, after Nicholas's father. Catherine had never known such joy. She held her son and marveled that she had helped create this perfect little being. Nicholas was besotted. He spent hours just watching Thomas sleep. "He is so small," he whispered in wonder. "He will grow," Catherine said, "and he will know he is loved every day of his life." More children followed. A girl they named Elena, after Nicholas's mother, then another boy, then twin girls. Ashford Hall rang with children's laughter. It was filled with light and love. Years passed. Catherine and Nicholas grew older together, but their love only deepened. They faced challenges, times of sickness, financial pressures, difficult decisions, but they faced everything together. One evening, when they were both well into middle age, they sat together in the library. The fire crackled. Children's voices drifted from upstairs where the youngest ones were preparing for bed. "You remember the first night we met in this room?" Nicholas asked. He held Catherine's hand. "Of course," Catherine said. "I could not sleep. You told me I was strange." "I should have said extraordinary," Nicholas said. "I knew it even then. I was just too afraid to admit it." "We were both afraid," Catherine said. "Two lonely people who did not know they were looking for each other. But we found each other anyway," Nicholas said. He lifted her hand to his lips and kissed it. "Thank you for seeing past the scars, for seeing me. Thank you for making me believe I was worth loving," Catherine replied. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, the moors stretched endlessly. Inside, their family thrived. Love had transformed everything. "I would do it all again," Nicholas said. "Every moment of pain, every lonely year, because it all led me to you. And I would endure every cruelty," Catherine said, "every humiliation, because they brought me here, to this life, to you." Nicholas pulled her close. She rested her head on his shoulder. They watched the fire together. Two souls perfectly at peace. The beast and the beauty, people had once called them, but they were just Catherine and Nicholas. Two broken people who had found each other in the darkness, who had chosen love over fear, who had built a life more beautiful than any fairy tale, and they lived truly and deeply, happily ever after.